Welcome to the Owners Club podcast, the show where we open the doors to real conversation with real business owners. I'm your host, Sean Ziari.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
Good morning, Amy. How are you?
Doing great.
Where are you right now?
Michigan. I'm in Plymouth, Michigan, which is just outside of Metro Detroit. It's kind of between Detroit and Ann Arbor, if you're familiar at all with Michigan.
I am.
Okay.
I'm a huge football fan. So go Sparty. I know you went to Michigan State, correct?
I did go to Michigan State, but let me guess, you've gone to the U of M stadium?
I've gone to both stadiums, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I know a lot of times, I live right in Ann Arbor's backyard, so I get a lot of ridicule. My husband went to Michigan, so we're a divided household. Although I feel like my daughters are Sparty side or will be. I have twin daughters that are
Twin
11.
daughters, right? One can be wearing a Michigan. How old are they now?
11.
11 years old?
Yep, 11 years old.
I'm assuming the picture that's on your Facebook is a little bit dated. They are so cute.
Just a little bit. Isn't it sad? I am so bad with putting personal information out there. I've been fortunate enough to hire somebody that helps with more the professional side of things. But my personal side is still a mess.
Well, I didn't want to mention this, but since you brought it up, you do realize on the Owners Club spreadsheet, there is nothing for Amy across. No phone numbers, no emails, no buy box.
Are you serious? I thought I already updated that. Okay, well,
maybe I'm looking at the wrong. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong spreadsheet.
No, you probably are. I thought I updated it at one point, but you never know. So thank you. I will make sure the spreadsheet is updated.
Well, I'm so glad that you could join me. I'm really excited. You're actually one of the reasons I started this podcast. I don't think you remember the conversation we had in Boston. We were in a little breakout and we were talking, and I was just looking at the room going, man, I need to get to know all these people. This is so amazing. And I kind of just blurted out, hey, I want to have an Owners Club podcast where I just talk to Owners Club. And do you remember that conversation?
I do.
I want to do that. I want to be your guest. Well,
yes, I do.
A couple of months later, it just took me a while, but I'm there, and I want to thank you, Amy, for this podcast. So thank you, Amy.
You are very welcome. You are very welcome. Well, that's so true, because we were sitting there with like Casey Savage, and there were quite a few of us, and we're still kind of coming out of our shell, right? And so I think this is awesome. And since I booked yours, I'm like, you know what? I need to start doing one. It's helpful for us just to get to know each other, tell each other stories. The one thing I realized from being in Monterey is we all have such amazing paths and stories, and they're not all the same, but they're very, very pivotal for all of us. So I think that's awesome. So where are you out of? Are you out of Arizona?
No, I actually originally from Austin, Texas, but this podcast is about you and not me.
Okay.
I'll tell you all about that when I'm a guest at your podcast. I do want to ask you more about your past and where you grew up, how you grew up, and kind of tell me your life story a little bit, just so other Owner Club members and anybody else who's listening to this say, oh, man, I love Amy. I want to hang out with her. I want to call her as soon as she updates her phone number on the spreadsheet. Hint, hint.
She gets her stuff together so I can figure out who she is.
I would love to hear your story, please.
Yeah, I grew up here in Michigan, very, very poor. My dad was an abusive alcoholic. He didn't work a whole lot, but my mom worked a couple jobs, and she was always an inspiration to us. She definitely pushed education, which was amazing. In retrospect, that was one thing she always honed in on. But I never really had any successful mentors around me. I never had anybody doing anything entrepreneurial. So my mindset was, you go to college, you get a good job, and that's how you support yourself. And I did that, right? I went to Michigan State. I got my degree in accounting. I became a CPA. I worked for one of the big firms, and I was just not fulfilled at all. And so I switched careers. I got into recruiting for accounting and finance professionals, and I did that for about 20 years. And although it was on the sales side, it was still a little entrepreneurial, but just not fulfilling whatsoever. And so about 20 years ago, my husband and I started, before we got married, we started with short-term vacation rentals. And we loved it. We did it from afar. We live in Michigan. The two were in Maui, and we got an established business. We did very well with it. It was actually before Airbnb was even around. We did it on VRBO.
Wow.
And so dabbled in that for quite some time. And then after COVID hit, I had my twin daughters. They were in kindergarten when COVID hit. And I was trying to do the, work from home and teach them, and it was just not fulfilled at all. So I decided to quit my W-2 and jump into flipping houses. And my husband was extremely supportive. He said, you know what? I think you could do it. You're going to rock it. Go for it. And so I started one by one flipping houses, sold one of the condos in Maui, and created a portfolio here in Michigan, and have just continued to grow that. So I just think it's so important for people to understand that there's more options out there. Education is great, and I think working in corporate America is great. But I often sat at my desk during those 20 some years and thought, I hate this, but I feel like I have no options. What am I qualified to do? And I know there's people out there that feel that, because most of them were my coworkers, and we'd seriously lament, like, who would pay me to do anything, right? And so I just want people to know there's so many other opportunities out there. We live in the best country where you can do anything you want. You can start a business, you can, work with other people to buy a business, you can buy land, you can buy rental properties, you can do anything you want. And that just really opened my eyes. And I've just been so much happier not working for somebody else. And I think it's just important for people to understand there are options out there. You don't have to be a genius to do it. You just have to take the leap of faith and jump in,
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. I was just texting a fellow flight instructor at Southwest, and Augie, if you're listening, I'm going to mention what you said. He's like, Sean, I really want to get involved. Tell me all the things I need to read and do. And I'm like, well, you just got to jump in, just like you said, Amy, you just got to jump in, learn, and you'll pick it up if you have the right mentor.
Yes.
Speaking of mentor, tell me how you got to Owners Club and kind of evolution of, who is in the Owners Club that has acted as your mentor and you work with closely?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Owners Club has been just an absolute game changer for me. So I started investing full time in 2021, jumped in, taught myself. I always had an interest in construction. And so, figured out how to underwrite properties, hire contractors, manage flips, manage rentals. That wasn't difficult for me, but I was kind of doing it on my own, right? I was conquering, doing what I could, but there's a ceiling there when you're just by yourself. I had been following Pace Morby for about a year, so I decided to jump into Sub 2 at the end of 2022, and I started meeting contacts. I had already kind of taught myself a little bit about creative finance, but really started meeting people and doing more things and collaborating with others. But to be honest, it wasn't until I joined Owners Club. So I was one of the, first year, like you were, Sean, to jump in and do Owners Club. And I just felt like it got me in the right rooms to think bigger, do more, and just aim much higher. And I think that's something that when you're working with other people, in my opinion, you kind of compare yourself against others, right? You're, okay, that person's doing this person's doing that, I'm right in line, or I want to move up. But when you're in a room where people are doing extravagant things you've never even thought of, and going to this retreat in Monterey really solidified that for me. Every person you talked to was doing something with a new twist that absolutely blew my mind. Wow, I didn't understand. Yeah, I didn't know that you could do that. You're doing a ground up development with across the country with new, I think they're called SIPs or something like that, where they're bringing in the components for the construction. So it cuts down on construction time. It cuts down on, material shortages. It cuts down on everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, things like that, opening a segment of a business across the country and, working with other people to do it, buying businesses. I mean, it's just astronomical. So it wasn't until I joined Owners Club that I realized you need to be in the right rooms. You need to be around the right people so you can level up, so you can do bigger things, you can do more. And oh my gosh, with the people in Owners Club, I mean, there's so many people that have just been instrumental to me. Even people I've met in the last probably 3 or 4 weeks that have just, blown my mind. Nayeli Davis is amazing. Nadine Cantorna, Becky Plaza Peace. I mean, just so many amazing people. Joshua Sun. I mean, just everywhere you look, there's inspiration. We did some of these breakouts this past week, meeting people that I had not met yet, and just listening to their stories about the path and the journey they've been on. It's just unbelievable. My suggestion is just get in the right rooms, get around people, start networking, asking questions about what they're doing, and just leveling up. I think that's what this, if you want to call it a mastermind, has taught me. I know it's way so much more than that, but a lot of people don't understand when you say Owners Club and you're not in Owners Club. They're like, well, what is that? Okay, I'll just call it a mastermind and then you can figure it out,
Yeah, just kind of expand on that for me a little bit. Friends and family ask me, well, what is Sub 2? Is that just some kind of online course you bought? And does it work? And then people ask me about Owners Clubs. Like, what is Owners Club? Is that some kind of mastermind you join? You pay a lot of money? And I just have to think, I'm like, you only will know if you were in the room.
Yes.
So tell me more about your experiences. Who are you working closely in the Owners Club? Give a shout out to.
Yes, absolutely. I think you're right. I don't know if you do this, but I tend to do this. People that are not in investing in real estate or investing in businesses, I tend to downplay what I'm doing. Family functions, I tend to just downplay, oh, things are going well. Yep. Went out to California, had, some meetings with some people. It was great. It was inspiring. I don't really get into it a whole lot because you're right. Unless you're there and you feel the excitement, people don't always understand that. So I think that is key. But man, when you do get in those rooms, it's pretty awesome. And I couldn't wait to get home to tell my husband about everything. And he was like, wow, that's amazing. Tell me more. And, while we're there, it's so busy. I'm like, I got to go. I have like 2 seconds. I got to go. I got to go. But, as far as working with people, there's a couple guys that are from Michigan that I have been working with even prior to Owners Club, Carlos Vasquez and Angel Lastro. Unfortunately, they didn't make it to this past meetup, but those are 2 amazing guys. We're working on innovation right now. We do some wholesaling together, and they are just really, really solid people. And so glad that I've gotten to work with them. Nayeli Davis, we are actually creating, and Joshua Sun and another gal outside of Owners Club, we're actually creating an investment fund, a Reg D 506C fund, because one of our missions is to acquire more housing for.
Hi, come say hello.
From Blacksburg. Okay, you got to go talk to your dad because I'm online. Sorry.
Do you want me to cut that out part? Or you add it? Because I think it was really cute.
You could do whatever you want. Yeah, you could do it. Okay, yeah, I see behind you. So you've got your 4 girls with your wife, right? Whatever. It is what it is.
They really just make my life so beautiful. All 4 of those ladies behind me, you see. Yeah, I just can't imagine what would I have been without them, all 3 of my girls and my wife just inspire me every day, just like you were saying about Owners Club. Of the people you mentioned, Carlos, Angela, I know Joshua is very active in social media. Who would you say of those names you just mentioned is their social media presence could use a little help?
Oh my gosh, my social media presence could use a ton of help. I mean, that's the one thing I don't do very well.
Great.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. I mean, I honestly think we could probably all level up until we get just super comfortable putting it out there. It's really hard. It's hard to put yourself out there, but you have to realize that people are interested to see what other people do. And you have to, I know Pace was talking about this past weekend, you've got to get past caring about what other people think. And that's really tough. You know, we as a generation, or I'll speak for myself, didn't grow up with social media. Nobody needed to know what I was doing or judging me or putting myself out there. When you think about what kids nowadays have to go through and coming up with everybody knowing everything about you and you being on display, it's a little overwhelming. So for us as a generation to jump into it and then have to kind of, I don't want to say play that game, but like put yourself out there, it can be, it can be tough. So I'm challenging myself to get posting 5 days a week and put some content out there. And the one thing I want to make sure that I'm able to do is help others understand that you can get started. You don't need to have a manual. You don't need to have a bunch of training. You just need to know what you're doing and the next step. And there's people out there that can help you. There's so much information, whether it be, online, on YouTube, now with ChatGPT, all that kind of stuff. So with that, I feel like there's no excuses not to jump. You just have to figure it out. And if you need a mentor, sidle up with somebody, go through it together. And that way it might give you a little bit more confidence. That's the one thing I've noticed. I feel like a lot of people are hesitant to get started, but they feel more comfortable in doing that when they are working with somebody else. And so I've been fortunate that I've been able to work with other people to get them their first deal or get them their first flip or buy their first rental or do their first wrap, and just gives people more confidence. I think that's what's amazing about it too. The one thing I don't have is a fear of doing. And so I have no problem jumping. May not always be the right jump, but I do it and I try it. And then I learn from my mistakes. But I know that's tough for a lot of people to get started and
That's
just
true.
jump.
My question is, of all the people that are in the Owners Club or that were in the Monterey, who would you say is the person you looked at and go, wow, what amazing work. I would love to work with that person. Who would that one person be? Do you have one or names?
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's so many people for such different reasons, So one of my focuses this year is business buying. And so I love real estate. I love going into multifamily. I'm not a fan of property management. So I'm self-managing the majority of my portfolio now. And so I need to buy a property management company. I really want to buy one here in Michigan, where the majority of my portfolio is. But beyond that, I feel like when you add in something like business buying, it takes your entrepreneurship to a whole new level. I do love real estate, but it can be a little bit of a slower game. You're buying, for the long-term appreciation, the building generational wealth, which I love. But when you look at how our country was founded on capitalism and entrepreneurship, and the fact that so many of these business owners, these baby boomers, are starting to retire, I feel like it's an unmatched opportunity for us to jump in. So there's so many people that I've met just briefly, and we're starting to partner up to streamline some kind of an outreach for off-market businesses and doing business buying. So Jas Caper, if I'm saying his last name right, Daniel Lee, Courtney Johnson, and Dr. Courtney Johnson and Dr. Johnny, I cannot think of his last name right now. It starts with an M. But they're both out in Arizona, and we are actually meeting this afternoon to start our partnership of helping each other, figuring out what we could do. We all want to do similar things by going after off-market businesses outside of, probably, more so in our geographical regions. So why not figure out how we can all do it? We can do it separately, but simultaneously, and see how we can help each other. So, some businesses that my husband and I are looking at, and people probably laugh, laundromats, isn't everybody, car washes, property management, because that's huge, landscaping companies. My husband used to own one. So just things like that. And I think, in that realm, those 4 people are going to be key for me. But I do know there's other people in Owners Club. And if anybody wants to join, sit in, figure out what we're doing, I think that's amazing, because that's just something that's been on my mind and wanting to do. And I feel like now we're going to jump in and do it.
Mhm.
And so that is definitely one. If I'm looking towards doing something like capital raising or getting larger in the multifamily space, I would say the two people are definitely Nayeli Davis and Joshua Sun. I think
Mm.
those people, we really came together this last week. What's really important to me, and I'm sorry, I think I got off track when my daughter came in, was
Oh, take your time. I think it's super cute. If you need to address something, go ahead, and we'll come back to this.
My long-term goal is to provide housing for domestic violence victims and trafficking victims. And I've been very fortunate here in Michigan to build some relationships with some amazing agencies that do help those causes. And so what I will do is contact them if I know I have a vacancy coming up or a property that I know is going to become available, or
Mhm.
buying a new property. And I'll say, hey, do you have anybody that needs a house? So I've been fortunate enough to, like a lady and her children were coming out of the 90-day stint in a safe house. When they're
Oh,
coming out of the shelter, it's great for them. So she was able to transition right into my property. Didn't have to worry about going back to her abuser. I mean, there's a lot of situations like that. We've gotten to know the YWCA over in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is one of our target areas. And they do a lot with trafficking victims. And right now they don't have housing for them. So they are putting them
Mhm.
up in hotels when they rescue them. That's typically just a short-term solution. It's not a safe environment. It's not a stable environment. So if they don't have a place to transition them to, sometimes they end up going back, and that's a really sad situation. So
Um,
we're creating the fund to acquire more assets to be able to work with those organizations. I think, one thing that Pace had mentioned, and I can't remember when he did, but he said, I want to do well so that I can do good. And that's so true. Having a purpose to investing, my daughters are my everything. And to show them that we
mhm.
can do it, we don't have to wait on anybody else. You as young women can do it too. Watch mom do it. They'll come and clean properties with me. They'll paint, they'll do whatever they
Oh,
have to do.
nice.
And I think it's just really important to give back to people who need what we can provide.
Mhm.
I'm not able to provide much other than that, but I know housing and I can provide that. Our goal too is, if we do buy some of these businesses, maybe giving employment opportunities to some people that are in need like that too. That would be
Mhm.
a great full cycle. If they're coming out of a bad environment, need employment, need housing, we can offer that to them. So that's
Mhm.
kind of my long-term goal, and partnering with other people to do that is pretty amazing.
We have a thing in Owners Club called Mount Everest. Is domestic violence and trafficking part of your Owners Club Mount Everest?
It
And if it
is.
is, tell me what brought you that point to put that as your Mount Everest? How did you get here? And
Yeah,
share
yeah,
your Mount
absolutely.
Everest with the others.
Yeah, absolutely. So my Mount Everest is to provide housing, um, at least a minimum of 5,000 units over the next 5 years to trafficking victims and to survivors of domestic violence. And I just think that is very near and dear to my heart. People that abuse other people, um, people coming out of those situations have so many obstacles. They've got trauma, they've got lack of employment, they've got so many situations that they're dealing with. If I can
Mhm.
just give them housing, that's the least I could do to be able to provide something as some kind of stability to them. It's just always spoken to me.
Mhm.
My father was very abusive to my mom, so I grew up in that type of a situation, and it's just always resonated with me.
I can relate.
Yeah, when you spoke at Owners Club, I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty amazing. Um, to break that cycle so that my daughters never have to live in that, and then to be able to empower other, and I don't want to say just women, because there are men that are abused too. What I've learned is, from a trafficking perspective, there's a lot of men that have been
Mhm.
trafficked in the workplace, so they're brought here to work hard labor. And so there's a lot of people that are taken out of their environments. They have nowhere to go, no support system. A lot of times they're on drugs. Anything I can do to help break that cycle so that people could understand that there are options for them.
Mhm.
Never having my daughters go through anything like that, and just realizing that you can empower people too. you know my ultimate goal would be then to provide some kind of financial literacy training, or, you know, show them what can be done, because we're all here. We're all created equal. We could all do this if we put our minds to it. And I think that's what's so inspiring about, seeing what other people are doing. You and I are not the only ones that have come from, not so great pasts, right? Seems like the majority of us didn't grow up with a lot. And that's maybe why we're so hungry to get to that next level and to show others how to do it, which I think is amazing.
I think one of the comments that was going around the last couple of days of Monterey was, we're all just weird. And this is a room for weird people empowering each other, making money and doing great work. People are listening and want to help you with your biggest need. Let's say for this next 12 months for you to accomplish your goal, or even your Mount Everest and shelters. How can we help, and what do you need? Your Owners Club family is listening, so tell us what you need.
Thank you. Well, we're going to start getting the word out there about the fund, really help showing people that sometimes it's awareness too. A lot of people don't realize the magnitude of trafficking or domestic violence. And so what we're looking to do is partner with other people within Owners Club or outside of Owners Club that have the interest in spreading the word about this, collaborating on social media. This is what we're up to. If you're interested, if you want to, invest with us, or if you want to bring this to your local area, I feel like with our group, there could be a very good chance that we could spread this nationally and really make a huge impact in a lot of the big areas in order to provide the housing and, potentially, partnering with these nonprofits. So that would be one thing. I know when I was in Monterey, I talked to quite a few people that said, oh my gosh, that's definitely something that's near and dear to my heart too. So collaborating, whether it's on social media, whether it's with the fund, whether it's with raising capital for this, I think would be huge. I think it's something that a lot of us, there's a couple other, aging out foster care, I think is another thing. People that are maybe looking at co-living for seniors that don't have any other options is good too. But anybody who wants to get involved in raising awareness through social media, raising capital, bringing this type of thing to another city, I think we could make this huge. So I think that would be first and foremost.
Your comments about going national was so appropriate. Something that Pace always shares with us is change the industry, change the world. You could do it. There's enough resources in this room, the Owners Club, and in our community and the whole in Sub 2 and Gator, that we could change it. Is there anything specific you need? I mean, I know you kind of spoke broadly, but is there anything specific you need in the next 12 months that somebody's like, oh, I got that.
I've got that. That's no problem. I mean, honestly, we're looking for multifamily. Here in Michigan would be ideal because I'm here, boots on ground. I'm an operator as well. We're also targeting Texas. Texas is the second largest state for trafficking victims. California being number one. It's just really hard to invest in California. That's going to be a tough one to make the numbers work in order to provide that service for them. So Michigan and Texas, will be our first and foremost states that we're going to be going after. So multifamily, whether it's creative or conventional, capital raising. If you know of any investors, it's going to be for accredited investors, although we may go on to fractional as well to try to expand our reach as well, to be able to, find investors that want to invest. Sometimes people have the money and not the time. And we would love to be able to get people involved in any way that we can. And then businesses here in Michigan is where I want to start. I always like to start in my backyard first so I can dive in, really understand what's going on, and then potentially expand nationally. But anybody that wants to get involved, please reach out. We can collaborate, share initiatives. I think that's the one big thing about this environment is just getting the word out and seeing what we can do. And I think that will make a big difference.
For those who are listening and not part of our community, you mentioned some things like fund, 506C, accredited, and you mentioned fractional, which is, I really want to talk about fractional as well. But kind of explain to those who are not familiar with this, what is a
Yep.
506c? What's accredited?
An investment fund is something that a person who has a net worth of $1 million or more, that includes everything except your primary house, or if you have income of $200,000 or more in a year from your primary sources of income, you would be an accredited investor. And so what we're doing is we're providing annual returns. You would actually be a limited partner in our investments, whatever buildings that we're buying, and we pay annual returns, or we're offering annual returns, and then some kind of an equity multiplier when we exit the property. So the hold is usually about 3 to 5 years. And we could go into that more in depth about what we would be offering. But in a nutshell, this is for somebody who wants to passively put their money to work. And it's usually for a length of 3.5 to 5 years. So sometimes what people do is they'll, instead of investing in their IRA, they'll do a self-directed IRA so that they can choose the investments where they want their money to go. Other people just don't want to have their money in CDs or bank accounts anymore, and they want to put it into something that's doing a little bit more. So our returns, our IRR is anywhere from like 10 to 14%, typically on the assets that we invest in, and it gives better returns than just putting it in a bank account or a CD or something along those lines.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, don't forget diversification. You should, because nobody knows the future. So, don't put all your money in crypto. As much as I have crypto and I love it, but don't put all of it in there. I think real estate just makes sense.
Yes.
You mentioned, so if I'm making more than 200 as a single, or I think it's 280 for couples.
You marry, filing jointly, yeah.
Yeah. And so that makes me accredited. But if I'm not accredited, can your 506c kind of squeeze me in? Like if there's only like how many?
So with a 506c, we can't squeeze you in, unfortunately. If we had a 506b fund, then we could take
So there's a difference.
Yes.
I mean, I know that, but for the people who are not listening.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And with a non-accredited 506b fund, we would just have to have some kind of pre-existing relationship with the investor so that they know who we are. We can't actively advertise it, which brings me to something like fractional. Fractional is actually where we can be co-owners or joint owners on different investments, and the minimum investment amount is usually $5,000 or $10,000, and that can be anywhere from like 2 to 5 years as well. So we're considering doing that on a different platform for people that really do want to get involved but don't have, the accreditation or the minimum $50,000 to invest, which is more so on the 506c.
Absolutely. And fractional is a website? Is it a?
Yep. Fractional is a website and a platform that actually helps us showcase our investments and gives potential investors the opportunity to go in and look at everything, decide if they want to invest. Everything is handled through this company called Fractional. So if you were to, let's say, invest $5,000, you send it directly to them. They do all of the reporting. They keep you updated along with us on the status of the project. You get monthly or quarterly financials, so you know what's going on. It's a way to get more people involved and still have it meet SEC guidelines. So anytime you're bringing together multiple investors on an investment where they're not actively participating in the management, you do have potential for it to be a fund. And so you have to make sure you're doing things properly with the SEC. A lot of people don't realize that. So fractional is definitely something that we can do to make sure we're abiding by any SEC guidelines.
If let's say I have a couple of bucks sitting in my pocket and I want to invest in this fund of yours, how would I reach you, and what's the best way?
Absolutely. So my Instagram is at Amy Rendy.
Okay.
And my phone number, which I can give you as well,
if you'd like to share it.
Yeah, absolutely. 586-295-7985. That's my cell. You can call me, you can text me, but we're really just looking to partner with other people, that want to get involved. Yeah. That want to learn how to invest, that want to start something. What people don't realize is just by owning one rental property or, one investment can change your whole life. You're now get the benefits of depreciation and, different, you're building something for the long term, right? You get depreciation, you get appreciation. If you have a rental property, somebody else is paying down that mortgage. Even if you just bought one, let's say at 50 years old, by the time you go to, retire at 65, 70, whatever it is, you have a good chunk of equity now that you could do something, give it to your family, leave it for your family when you pass away. People don't realize you don't have to go big. You can do something small and still have an amazing piece of your retirement just by taking that one leap. And I think that's the message I want to get across is just, if it's something that you've always wanted to do it, try it and see how it goes. I've met so many landlords that just own 1, 2, 3 properties that bought them, 25 years ago. They now want to cash out so they have something for their retirement. And it was the best thing that they ever did. Now they have $500,000 that they wouldn't have had they not taken that leap. I know, by the way, the renter paid down the mortgage and everything else. So I just want people to know how attainable it is. And I think it's something that's very important to be able to explore if it's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, that all sounds great, Amy, but I only have, not enough to even buy one house. Is there a way for me to maybe work with others and we all buy a house? Is there such a thing in your business, in real estate? Can I do that?
Absolutely. You can create joint ventures with people. You can go into an LLC with somebody. Let's say you have 3 or 4 different people. You want to pool your money together and do something like that. Absolutely. You can create a limited liability company where you each have some ownership and you can buy a property as well. So what people don't realize is there's also creative ways to buy real estate where you may need little to 10% down. And so if you want to come together with other people to do that, that's an absolutely wonderful way. You can buy properties subject to the existing mortgage where you take over the payments of somebody's mortgage and take ownership of the property. You can also do something that's called seller finance, where it's basically like you make the seller the bank. You can also get a DSCR loan where you put in 20% down and finance the rest. And they don't check your credit. They don't check your income, your credentials. It's solely based on the property. So it's a lot easier than some people think. People think, oh, if I want to buy a $150,000 house, I have to come up with $150,000. There's a lot of different ways that you can finance. If you just look hard and do a little research, you'll find out it's a lot more feasible than people think.
Isn't real estate so much fun? Creative finance,
oh my gosh,
off market. I fell in love with it. I mean, I like a lot of people, you started being a real estate agent and it's great. They do great work, but creative finance and off market real estate is just so much fun, creative, and just trying to solve a problem, like you said. I love what you're doing. Do you have a workshop? I really think you should if you don't have one yet. I think you're going to do great.
I don't have a work. Oh, thank you. You know what? I've thought about doing a workshop. It might need to be virtual, but I will do a workshop. I'm also creating a digital course.
Nice.
It's going to be, not super expensive. I want to be able to give people step-by-steps of how I broke it down. I have so many people coming to me and they just feel so stuck. How to do, I don't know how to find comps. I don't know how to underwrite a deal. I don't know how to, figure out what my exit strategy would be or financing. So I'm putting together a digital course to be able to show people step by step how I do it, to take out some of the guesswork. I feel like a lot of people get stuck because they don't have the confidence or they don't have the tools that they know what they're doing. And I want to be able to put all that together, what I've learned, and show somebody it's not that difficult. Step by step, this is how you do it. This is how you create your LLC, if that's the entity that you choose. This is how you build your team. This is how you underwrite deals. This is how you comp properties. I just think it could be so beneficial. I feel like there's a lot of people, even, sometimes at our level, that maybe didn't come up through buying rentals or didn't come up through fix and flipping, and they don't understand those fundamentals. And to me, once you know that, you're unstoppable. So that's what I want to provide to others, some basic training so that they feel comfortable moving forward.
Can I make an observation and a comment? So it sounds like the 2025 Amy wants to do that mentorship where the baby Amy, poor growing up in Michigan, didn't have it.
Yes.
So I want you to start a workshop. and don't make a big deal of it. Just talk to the young Amy who needed a mentor. I think you could do a mentorship. You can do a course this month.
Oh my gosh, Sean, you're
You
so
can do
sweet.
it. Just talk to your young Amy.
Yep.
Or pretend your daughters are sitting there and it's like, all right, this is how you do it. These are some of the things. If you have questions, you can reach out to me. Can I trust you on starting a workshop? Because I want to sign up. I want to sign up to be the first person on your workshop. Are you going to get one done this month? Well, let's. How about this quarter?
Okay, there we go. I was going to say, gosh, this quarter,
Okay.
Sean. Okay, I will do it. I will do it. Yes, absolutely. I've got some of it filmed. I've got some of the details and the content done, but I just need to steamroll ahead. And thank you. I will get it done.
I'm going to wear a Sparty hat and wear all my, Michigan State clothes. Ready. I'm listening. I'm ready for you, Amy. You're a fountain of knowledge, and just please share it with the other owners and anybody else who's listening. What type of businesses does Amy want to buy in the next?
So first and foremost would be property management company, laundromats, car washes, and landscaping businesses. Those are the 4 I want to target first and foremost, because I think those would be, I don't want to say easiest to get into, but with enough work, you can make them absentee owner businesses pretty easily. And I think that's our ultimate goal. We're not looking to buy another job or another, 40-hour week of us needing to be involved in it. So if we can, do those types of businesses, get them set up with a proper operator so that we can keep them moving when we're not there as much, that would be ideal. And so those are our 4 targets.
Yeah, it's a great 4 businesses that have symbiotic relationship and they work perfectly together. Smart, very smart. Well, we're 10 minutes into it. I thank you so much for joining. You ready to have some fun?
Yes.
End with some trivial questions.
Yes. I can't wait to see what number.
All right. How many Amy's are there in the Owners Club?
2.
Do you know her?
There was only 1. I think there's just 1 more now.
What's her name?
The first, Biltmore. It starts with a B. Biltmore.
And I hope when she's listening, think, oh, she's not proud. She's probably.
I hope I didn't butcher it. I probably butchered it.
All right. How many owners live in Michigan? Or are there
probably about 15? We used to have more. Some people have unfortunately not stayed up with Owners Club, but there's probably about 15 of us. We have a lot. We actually do. We have Gabby, Susie Dye, Carlos Angel, Kelly and Rod Carver, which you may know. We have John and Justin Piquel. Let's see, who else do we have?
Next time we're in Owners Club, I want to see a Michigan picture.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So those are my questions about the spreadsheet and Owners Club. I have an Owners Club book here.
Nice.
I have 1,000 questions. I asked ChatGPT. What do people ask on a podcast? Because I have no idea what I'm doing. So the last guest I had wanted me to ask you a question.
Okay.
And if you would like, you could ask the next guest a question of your own, or you can just pick a number and I'll ask. Are you ready, Amy?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know Adam Coburn in North Carolina?
Yes, I know of him. I don't know him real well.
Well, we shouldn't get to know him. He's a great guy.
Yep.
Coffee shop owner.
Oh.
Yeah. So when you're in North Carolina, you want to have some coffee, there's an Owners Club member to go there. All right. Adam says, how do you handle criticism in professional growth? Ooh, that's heavy. How do you handle criticism, Amy, professionally? I mean, I know your daughters will criticize you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Well,
the complaints.
I've heard enough criticism from my daughters. Tell me professionally, how do you handle criticism?
I take it to heart. I do. I think it's important. I think it's the way you can grow. I think it's something that you need to be able to dive in and understand in what ways they mean it and to really take it to heart. I think that's important. I think if you don't have criticism, you're going to keep on doing what you think is right, and you're never going to correct your course. Some of the criticism that I've had might just be like, I hate to say this, but like when deals flop, you're like, okay, what more criticism could you have than that just did not go well? And you have to reflect. You have to reflect on it. You have to take it to heart, and you have to really figure out what you're going to do better so that it doesn't happen the next time. I think it's not fun to hear, but I think it's most critical, because if you only got accolades all the time, how would you ever grow? How would you ever do anything better? You would just go on thinking that you're doing the greatest thing. But that's the one thing I feel like we're able to, in this type of industry, if something doesn't go well, you see it, whether it's a deal, whether it's a project, whether it's a partnership, you can definitely see it. It becomes pretty apparent very quickly. And in a lot of ways, that's feedback to know, oh, geez, I should have done something different. So I think it's great. I think you got to take it to heart. You have to really dive in, peel back the onion, and figure out what you could have done better.
I cannot wait to see you accomplish your Mount Everest, because I know you will. I know Amy. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sean.
So glad you could join me and join the rest of the Owners Club.
You've been tremendous. I appreciate